When you hand your mother-in-law the keys to an $8.8 million estate, you don't expect to end the night wiping tears in a venue bathroom. But there I was at his sister's black tie wedding, standing near the floral arch, listening to my husband clear his throat into a microphone. I thought he was going to thank me for saving his family from public financial ruin. Instead, he looked straight at me, raised his glass, and said, with total, unbothered composure, "Some people here clearly don't know how to dress for elite spaces. My wife is an absolute embarrassment." The room went dead silent. He didn't know I had a hidden recorder running in my evening clutch, or that the deed to that luxury estate hadn't actually transferred into his mother's name yet. And in that precise moment, I decided to give him the grand finale he actually deserved. My name is Elena Vance. I'm 32 years old, a self-made tech founder, and for 4 long years, I mistakenly believed I was building a true partnership with my husband, Julian. Julian was 35, smooth-talking, and came from an old money family that carried a heavy last name and a secretly hollow bank account. Behind their country club memberships, polo matches, and tailored designer suits, his family was drowning in unpaid debt. 2 months ago, when his mother, Evelyn, was weeks away from facing public foreclosure on her ancestral home, I stepped in. I didn't want my mother-in-law on the street. I used my own company's liquid capital to buy her an $8.8 million estate in Bel Air outright. I wanted to give Julian's family stability, safety, and a fresh start. I paid for everything, expecting nothing in return except simple respect. So when his younger sister's high society wedding arrived at the Grand Regency Ballroom, I thought it would be a night of quiet celebration, genuine family unity, and real joy. I had no idea I was walking straight into a trap designed to destroy my dignity in front of hundreds of people. The Grand Regency Ballroom was suffocatingly grand. Crystal chandeliers hung low over tables draped in silk, packed with 300 of the city's top corporate elites, politicians, and high society fixtures. I sat at the head table wearing an understated emerald gown, offering polite smiles to Julian's friends. But all night, Julian treated me like an unwanted ghost. He deliberately introduced everyone at the table except me, turning his back whenever I tried to join the conversation, and casually remarking to a board member how some people just lack refined background. I swallowed my pride until the toasts began. Julian walked up to the podium, tapping the microphone with a practiced smile. I expected a warm tribute to his sister. Instead, after a few brief words about the bride, his eyes locked onto mine. "You know," Julian said into the microphone, his voice echoing across the silent room, "true elegance isn't something you can buy. Some people here clearly don't know how to dress or act for elite spaces. My wife is an absolute embarrassment." A sudden, sharp hush fell over the entire ballroom. Evelyn didn't defend me. She just smirked quietly into her champagne glass. I didn't make a scene. I didn't throw my drink or burst into tears. I simply excused myself, walked out of the ballroom with my head held high, and slipped into the quiet sanctuary of the marble hallway. My hands were remarkably steady as I opened my designer clutch and pulled out my phone. The high-definition recorder app was still running, a habit I'd picked up from years of corporate contract negotiations. Every single word of Julian's cruel public speech was captured in crystal-clear audio. I leaned against the cool wall and let the reality set in. Julian and his mother hadn't just disrespected me. They had used me as a financial rescue plan while treating me like dirt beneath their shoes. But then, a sudden realization struck me. Because escrow had only closed late Friday afternoon, the official gift transfer documents for the $8.8 million estate were still sitting and signed on my desk, waiting for Monday morning. The legal title to that property was still held entirely within my personal corporation. I pulled up my real estate attorney's direct contact, tapped send on an urgent text message, and smiled. They thought they had secured their fortune. They were completely wrong. I skipped the hotel and drove straight to my private office downtown. Sleep was the last thing on my mind. 4 or 5 straight hours, I sat under the sharp fluorescent lights and began pulling apart every single layer of Julian's life. What I uncovered made my skin crawl. Julian had quietly opened a secondary checking account 6 months ago. Across those statements, tens of thousands of dollars had been siphoned from our shared travel fund to purchase Cartier jewelry, designer dresses, and boutique hotel rooms for a junior associate at his firm. He wasn't even hiding it well. He just assumed I was too distracted running my company to ever look. Then came the real dagger. I accessed our encrypted home cloud server and found an archived text thread between Julian and his mother, Evelyn. The messages spanned back over a year. Evelyn had casually referred to me as that ambitious little draft horse, while Julian reassured her, "Don't worry, Mom. Once the Bel Air title clears and your name on Monday, we can start setting up the paper trail for the separation. She won't get a single dime of the estate." Sitting in the silence, staring at the screen, every shred of grief evaporated. What replaced it was cold, absolute clarity. First thing Monday morning, my corporate attorney officially halted the gift transfer papers. By 9 a.m., the $8.8 million Bel Air estate was reclassified under my company's holdings, and a process server was dispatched directly to the front gate. Evelyn received a formal 30-day notice to vacate the premises or face immediate legal eviction. Less than 2 hours later, Julian burst into my glass-walled executive office without knocking, his face flushed with pure, unfiltered rage. "What the hell is wrong with you, Elena?" he shouted, slamming his palm onto my desk. "Mom just called crying. The real estate agency said the title didn't clear, and some stranger handed her an eviction notice. Fix this right now." I didn't blink. I simply turned my desktop monitor toward him and pressed play on my desk speakers. Julian's own voice blasted through the room, crystal clear. "Some people here clearly don't know how to dress or act for elite spaces. My wife is an absolute embarrassment." The color instantly drained from Julian's face. His mouth opened, but no sound came out. "Now," I said softly, leaning back in my chair, "get out of my office before security removes you." The divorce papers were served to Julian at his firm the following afternoon. My legal team made sure the bulletproof, prenuptial agreement I'd insisted on 4 years ago was enforced to the letter. Because he had used marital assets to fund his affair, my attorneys aggressively reclaimed every single dollar he had siphoned away. When Julian realized his financial lifeline was permanently severed, he tried to launch a desperate smear campaign, telling our mutual high society contacts that I was cold, vindictive, and mentally unstable. But I didn't engage in petty arguments. I simply leaked the audio recording of his wedding speech along with the confirmed bank records of his affair directly to a prominent local society columnist. Within 48 hours, the truth blew up across our entire social circle. Julian's firm, terrified of the public fallout and corporate ethics violations, quietly asked for his resignation. His mother was forced to pack her bags and move into a small, 2-bedroom rental apartment in the suburbs, completely stripped of the grand status she had tried so hard to fake. Julian went from being a rising corporate star to a pariah overnight, his prestige entirely destroyed by his own arrogance. 6 months later, the divorce was finalized without a single hitch. I sold the Bel Air estate for $9.4 million, turning a massive $600,000 profit that I immediately reinvested into expanding my tech foundation. Julian tried calling me once from an unknown number, begging for a second chance and claiming he had made the biggest mistake of his life. I didn't say a single word back. I just hung up the phone and permanently blocked the number. Looking back now, standing on the balcony of my penthouse overlooking the city skyline, I don't feel anger, regret, or bitterness anymore. I feel completely liberated. That night at the wedding, Julian thought he was putting me in my place and humiliating me in front of the world. He had no idea he was actually handing me the exact key I needed to break free from his lies, reclaim my self-respect, and step into my true power. Never let anyone diminish your worth just to make themselves feel taller. Protect your peace, trust your instincts, and always remember to keep receipts.